So we're gonna discuss about a revamped Chaos Hub that we did. I'm gonna explain what Chaos Hub is in the first place, and if which we can allow me screen sharing, I will share my screen and show you a short presentation for Chaos. Yeah, thank you. So can you see my presentation? Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about Chaos Hub. It's kind of like an open marketplace for chaos experiments. What we did, what are the new things that we're going to talk about. The short contents of the presentation will be a short introduction on Chaos Hub. The tech stack we use. We have a full stack developer I'm hearing, so he might be interested in this. What the tech stack we used, short hint is we have used TypeScript, and why is that? How we are focused more on the collaboration aspect of this new hub, and how we make it easy for you to collaborate. Some feature updates, the new features that we have introduced in Hub will be talked upon by Shomo. Website demo and will be shown, and some upcoming changes and features we are planning on using. So let's start away. What is Chaos Hub? Is basically it's a kind of like an open marketplace where you can get your chaos experiments. What do we mean by that? We have some predefined chaos experiments, some standards contributed by various companies and various organizations. We have them available for you to easily plug and play into your system and try out chaos engineering in a very real way. That is, now, okay. So the tech stack we used is we have seen and been moved by the community of React and how it's taking over most of the web space. We have been extensively working with and React and seeing its benefits. So we have taken that as a core for Litmus and contributed and made various products around React. So another choice we made in technology for the front end is TypeScript. And TypeScript really paid us huge returns. TypeScript, as most people might fear, it's like a new language. It's not a new language. It's just a superset of JavaScript, and it takes 1 or 2 days to learn. As even not might be even less actually. And nothing to fear about TypeScript, and a lot more to gain from it. We're going to talk in details of how it's been helped us to make the product more large, more scalable, and more maintainable, and how it applies to the collaboration aspect that we are talking about. For the backend, we are using Go as a language, and that has also not failed us in a bit. So let's moving on to TypeScript as why we have used TypeScript. So TypeScript, I can't thank enough. This is the first time in a production environment I've used TypeScript. TypeScript provides nothing new for a Java developer, right? So you have already types and interfaces and everything that's associated with a object-oriented language like Java or C# or C++. But for UI design, this is the first time I have used TypeScript, and might be a first time for a lot of people. So why is it good for UI design? The first aspect I have noticed about TypeScript is that you don't ever have to worry about misspelled types breaking your code. Like some undefined type comes up and your code breaks and you're like, oh, why it's happening? You never have to second guess kind of those things. No, runtime failure of the website is greatly reduced with TypeScript. The second point being unit testing. In unit testing, you have to check the types of the variable you're passing, the parameters and the functions. You never have to worry about those kind of things ever in TypeScript, since the primary level of checking is done in writing the code itself. As for the project size, whenever the project size grows, there are some problems. Like suppose you are, as a new developer or open source developer, try to see a new code base. So everything is new there, from the architecture to the choice of languages, websites and stuff, everything is new there. So how do you go on contributing it? You won't probably you have an actual job you're doing, and this is in your free time you're contributing to open source. It's very hard for you to read the entire code base. And as the size of the project grows, it becomes more impossible with time. So how TypeScript helps here is TypeScript not being a library or something like that, it's a language, right? So the editor, especially VS Code, ties very much in TypeScript in a very loving way. And that is, it gives you a lot of support from the editor side. So when you are suppose calling a function, you never have to worry about what parameter it takes or what are the types of the parameter. And even if you misspell one or two parameters, you do not provide the right type or do not provide the right number of parameters, it tells you instantly. So these parameters are compulsory. You have to pass these. These are optional. You can avoid these. You cannot use this. We are handle that in the code. So you don't have to read each and every component or each and every function to understand the entire code base. That's how modularity is actually taken advantage here. Like suppose I am integrating a simple module with some other module in JavaScript. I have to read that module which I'm integrating to understand how and why and the integration should work. In TypeScript, that makes a lot of ease in use. Another thing we have also experienced is uh, API calls and stuff. So we write the interfaces beforehand to understand what data we need from the API call, and we store it in a single place. So you open a single folder and you get all the types of the variables that you need for that API call. So when you're actually making the API call, you never make a mistake. You never second guess, and you never have to look back and forth and whether I'm taking the right parameter, whether I'm using this code or not, whether I have missed a certain data from the API. You don't have to do that, and you don't have to go through that process. It makes your developer experience very smooth and very simple, and it increases maintainability definitely. And I explain why painless contributions are there in TypeScript. So moving on, we have the focus of ease of collaboration in this new chart hub. We took special consideration towards this kind of things. It's because we want more and more people to contribute to our projects. It shouldn't be restricted to a small group of handful of 2-3 developers. It shouldn't be like that. So we have taken multiple steps towards that direction. The first one is having best practices throughout our coding. So when you open our code base, you shouldn't find sloppy code. You shouldn't find a code that is make you cringe. It shouldn't be like, oh, these guys are newbies. It won't happen. So we have checked our website against web.dev, Google's web.dev, and we got 100% on best practices. So it makes sense for you as a developer to contribute in a code base which you can rely on, maybe even learn from. And the second point being, we have open sourced our designs for the website. I'm going to show you my designs which I've made, the Figma designs. We use Figma as the primary tool for this purpose. So designing, open sourcing the design is a challenging part. We are also exploring other ways for it to be more fruitful and improve the process of collaborating designs open source. We already have a team of designers working in open source for us, and it's a great experience to work with such brilliant minds. So why we have done that is, suppose you're making change to the front end of a website, you shouldn't second guess and you shouldn't worry about how to make, where, and what to do. The design should be there. If you're making a component, where should it go? Where should it happen? The future, we'll not make a GitHub issue saying we need a component A somewhere. We're going to specify where we need it. We are going to specify how it will look. So you as a developer should not second guess those kind of things. It will make the developer experience very painful and very easy to contribute. We'll have a future plan. We'll have a future design plan too. So that being that. Next, the feature updates will be talked about with Shomo. Shomo will give you a brief demo of the feature updates. He will also give a demo of the website and mention some upcoming changes in the hub that we have done with a little thank you note. So that's it from my side. Thank you very much for not getting bored and listening to me.
Thank you, Aku. So I'm Shomu. I'm one of the contributors for the Chart Hub Revamp project. So I'll just start off with the feature updates. Am I audible properly?
Yes, Somo.
Okay. So I'll just share my screen. I hope my screen is visible now. So the first most important feature update that we have right now is obviously the UI and UX. We have completely redesigned our website, the Chaos Hub, from scratch. We have kept in mind while redesigning to keep it simple and yet robust. We have improved a lot of things in the website itself, like the experiments page that I'll show you a little later on in the demo. We have included a lot more, you know, steps, prerequisites, so that you can get started directly from the Chaos Hub, and you can start with the Chaos experiments directly. And secondly, we have improved the search feature as the Chaos Hub increases in size, like more experiments and experiment groups are added to the Chaos Hub. It will become a little difficult to go through each experiment group and search for the experiments. So we have improved the search feature so that you can easily find your required experiment that you want to apply and run on your customer system. Thirdly, we have included the Chaos engine YAML data directly in the website instead of like giving a command to install the engine YAML file. We wanted the users to be able to customize the YAML file according to their development needs. So we have added that feature. We have further plans with that, which I'll discuss later on. Uh, and fourthly, this one isn't that visible from the front end, but it is also an important feature update that we have made. So we have shifted all dependencies from the from external service providers, like services like GitHub. So previously, what we were doing is basically we were making API calls and making like data features from GitHub directly on the client side, which, as we know, isn't a good idea because GitHub goes down. There's a good chance that GitHub will go down, and we'll have blank spaces and blank boxes popping up in the website. So we have shifted all that to the backend server itself. So now there is no dependency on any external service. So we have decoupled that. Okay, so I'll just show the demo and give you a quick walkthrough of the website itself. Okay, so this is the new Charter website, as you can see. So the UI has changed. If you have ever visited the previous Chart Hub, you'll obviously know that the UI has completely changed. So the first feature that I would like to point out is the versions. So we have multiple versions for the chaos experiments. So if you want to go for a particular version, say let's say you want to go for a very old version like 1.2 for some reason, so you can just go in and change the version, and the experiments will update, and you can pick from there again. So as you can see, the experiments are different in different versions. The experiment groups, these are all experiment groups here. So the number of experiment groups and experiments inside them can differ depending on the version. So you have to choose that properly. Moving on to the next important thing, that is the experiment group itself. So I'll just go back to the current version. So these are all the experiment groups that we have right now. The list is going to increase, obviously. There's a contribute button right here. So this will take you to the contributors guidelines so that you can contribute your own custom experiments, and we'll put them up in the chart hub, and it will be available for everyone else to use. This is a search feature that I was talking about. I'll give you a demo of this search feature later on a little bit. So I'll just move on to the experiments itself. So there's a generic chaos. I'll just go for the generic chaos. So this is how the experiments page look. These are all experiments that are clubbed together under the generic chaos group, experiment group basically. So there's some useful links like documentation, source code, etc., and maintainers that you can contact if you have any problems with the experiment. There's also an option to install all experiments. You can either install a single experiment particularly, or you can go for installing each and every experiment at the same time. So that will save you some time if you have a requirement to have multiple experiments running. I'll just show you the install experiments page. So this is basically the install all experiments page. There's a command that you can use to install all the experiments at the same time. We also have a link to the prerequisites, that is obviously the Litmus operator that will be required to actually run the experiments. Moving back to the experiments page, we can go for let's say the pod delete experiment. And in this experiments page, we have added a lot of new information that is, I believe, will be very helpful for the users. So basically, at first, as you can see, there's a small description of the experiment itself, like what it does and stuff like that. We also have provided the if there's a tutorial video for that experiment, we'll show it here. So you can take a look at that video and you can try it out yourself. And also besides that, we also have the prerequisites and all the steps that are needed to actually run the experiment itself. So first of all, you have to install the chaos experiment, and then you have to create your service account. So these two steps are are more or less standard. So you can obviously make some changes in the RBAC if you want, but the chaos experiment itself is a standard command that you'll have to use always. Moving on to the chaos engine, this part is completely customizable according to your needs. So this one is a sample that runs on the Nginx application right now. So you have to make changes according to your needs. Like if you have a different application that you want to test this particular chaos experiment on, so you have to make the changes here. So we have put this right in the website, so you can copy paste this and make the changes and update it. Besides that, we also have the source code and video and other information that might be helpful for you. So this is all that is there. Okay, so I'll just show you the search feature. So the search feature is basically improved a lot. So previously the search feature was only available in the home page, so you can only just search for the chaos experiment groups. But now if you want, you can search for a particular experiment group, and I'll just show you that. So let's say I want to search for pod delete experiments that are there in the chaos hub. So if I just type in pod delete, all the experiment groups that have that pod delete experiment specifically will pop up. So you can go in to any of those and you'll see that there's a pod delete experiment. Also, the search has been improved in terms of like efficiency. So let's say we have an experiment called pod network latency or something like that, pod network corruption or something like that. So network latency. So you might not be knowing the full experiment name. So you might search for pod latency maybe, let's say, and it will still show up as you can see. So that makes using the chart hub, not chart hub, the chaos hub much easier. Also, we have provided a search feature inside the experiments page too, so that you can directly search for the experiments inside this particular experiment group. So it will be easier for you to run the experiments. So I guess that is a quick demo for the chart hub. If you have any questions, we'll gladly take them up later on. So moving back to the presentation. So the upcoming changes that we have planned are basically we plan on adding workflows to the chaos hub besides existing experiments. So for those who do not know what a workflow is actually a sequence of experiments. Karthik will be a better person to give more details on that, but we'll be adding this in the future to the chaos hub so that you can use those too besides experiments. The second most important feature that we are planning on adding is the sorry about that, adding on we're adding on planning on adding is a edit feature for the YAMLs. So basically, this would allow users to edit the YAML that I just showed in the expense page, like this one. So we'll enable users to edit the YAML file right inside the chaos hub. So that will be much easier for the users, and also we'll be able to verify the YAML so that they do not face any errors later on. So we'll be adding that feature in the next possible releases. So that will be one important feature that we want to add. Also, we are planning on adding end-to-end testing for the chaos hub to make it more robust. As it is, it's robust, so we'll try to make it more robust by adding E2E testing. And also, we'll be adding more features for the upcoming changes as suggested by the community and as we plan on later. So that is all, I guess. And thank you for being with us right now. And we'll love to collaborate with you all and grow the community more. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, we'll take them up. I'll just stop sharing my screen.
A few points for E2E testing. We are thinking of using Cypress as our testing framework, and another thing, for any resources related to the Charter website, if you want to contribute, the README section is the best place to visit there. So you will find everything from the designs to documentation to learning what each and every technology is. We have also explained the tech stack and given links for you to visit to that documentation website and learn more about any of the technologies you are willing to learn that is being used in Chartup. So we try to make the developer experience as much painless as possible.